Greetings, gentle observer, and welcome. I am Robert Farmer, and as mentioned in previous videos, the man-made climate change crisis, climate emergency, or call it what you will, was started in order to hide, as was then, the impending energy crisis. Excuse me. However, now that the energy crisis is well and truly upon us, I assumed the climate change zealots would have finally been silenced, but alas, they continue to sprout their nonsensical climate change rhetoric ad nauseum. In particular, they continue to claim that 97% of scientists believe that man's activities are causing the climate to change. And so, in order to lay this particular ghost to rest, I will now show how this figure and similar nonsensical figures might be arrived at. And in order to do this, I must first find a subject that is clearly untrue, clearly a nonsense. And so I have chosen little green men in flying saucers, which is as ridiculous a subject I could come up with. With this in mind then, I shall now prove that 2/3 of scientists believe in flying saucers. My research begins then with me sending 100 scientists an email stating that flying saucers exist, and would they please confirm this to be the case. 97 of these scientists read my email and dismiss it as the ramblings of a madman and immediately delete it. Of the 3 scientists remaining, one replies that flying saucers do not exist, and I shall not question this. Of the 2 scientists left, both say more or less the same thing. That being that whilst there is no proof that flying saucers exist, given the vast number of planets to be found within our galaxy, then their existence remains a possibility, albeit a very remote and distant possibility. With my research now completed, I can now interpret my findings and reach a conclusion. Firstly, I can say that whilst 97 of the scientists contacted did not say flying saucers existed, likewise, they did not say that they did not. And so I look upon these 97 scientists as neutral, as it were, and I therefore disregard them. Of the 3 scientists remaining, one said they did not believe in flying saucers, and again I will not argue against this. Of the 2 remaining scientists, I simply interpret their replies to mean that they do believe in flying saucers. In conclusion then, and given that I have disregarded the 97 scientists who did not reply to my email, and given that I count only the 3 scientists remaining, I can say that 2/3 of these, or by stretching things a little, I can say that 2/3 of scientists in general agree that flying saucers exist. A very convincing argument if the figures given are not challenged. Should they so be, however, then the whole research and conclusion would be exposed as completely erroneous. However, and assuming any figures given are not challenged, and by using the same dishonest and unscientific methodology mentioned above, I could go on to prove just about anything at all. I might demonstrate, for example, that 90% of scientists believe the world to be flat, or that the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot actually exist. With this in mind then, let us now look at the 97% consensus figure on climate change in a little more detail. The first and perhaps most important thing to note is that the figure given, that is to say 97%, is not absolute. And this is very important indeed. For where the climate zealots to claim that 100% of scientists believe that man's activities are changing the climate, it would but need one scientist to stand up and say they did not believe this to be the case, and the whole argument would be instantly destroyed. However, by labelling the odd 3% as deniers, then should any individual scientist claim that the whole climate change hoax was just that, then the climate zealots are able, because the figure given is not absolute, to claim that they are part of the odd 3%. The second thing to note is that the figures given and conclusion reached are never verified, never even challenged, but simply accepted at face value. Indeed, try asking any climate zealot where the 97% figure came from, and it's a fair bet none will know. In truth, the 97% consensus figure is nothing but a not very good con trick. But as no one ever challenges this figure, then the con trick works, and works very well indeed. All the more because people want to believe it, a situation that is a godsend for any con artist. This being so, when next you hear the 97% consensus figure mentioned, or even if you are tempted to use it yourself, then please bear in mind that this figure was arrived at using the same unscientific and dishonest methodology as so outlined. And this being so, it can be said without fear of contradiction that there are lies, damn lies, and climate change consensus figures. I am Robert Farmer, and I thank you for watching my humble video, and I do so hope you will subscribe and press the notification bell. And, as always, I welcome any comments you may have.